wages, rainy days with no money. Hard work lead to days that are sunny. Looking back, it was all needed. The problems, the pain, the trauma, the grieving. You are now tuned into the prisoner to painter. Prisoner to painter. Hard work, dedication. Rainy days, inspiration. Prisoner to painter. And now, a word from your local Poke dealer.
I'm just waiting for the Facebook to catch up.
And like I said, this is why we do everything live, because it's like stuff goes wrong.
It's
Nobody's
authentic.
perfect. It's authentic.
For
Cat
sure.
comes down, jumps on the table. It's annoying,
Perfect.
but it's perfect. Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's what makes it genuine.
We're just waiting for it to start. I don't know. It's been so slow.
We'll probably say that we've been live for a minute.
We can start and wait for, because we're live on StreamYard.
All right.
I can wait for it.
It'll probably catch up. Welcome to the Prisoner to Painter podcast. I'm Nathan McDermott,
And I am Katie
and
McDermott.
today joining us is Kait. I thank you for coming on.
I appreciate it, guys. I'm excited.
Awesome. Well,
Honored.
and yeah, no, it is thank you. It takes a lot of courage for anybody to come on and tell their story, regardless of their past or upbringing. So really, thank you for that. We got the advice of Pastor Mike. Do you mind giving us a brief synopsis of what you do at the beginning of the show?
Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely. So I am I have my degrees in social work,
Okay.
and so I'm a clinical social worker.
Okay.
But I choose to work in therapy private practice. So I don't work for an agency. I just have my own business. I work for myself. I see all my own clients. I send out my billing. So I just kind of do it all myself.
Awesome.
So yeah, I work, I have a specialty in EMDR, but I don't really have a limit as far as like what I can see. I get a lot of word of mouth referrals at this point. So that's kind of my sweet spot where I'm at. So I don't advertise a whole lot just because I don't want people calling me and I have to say, I'm sorry, I don't want to be room, right? Like why advertise if I can't take anybody on?
Yeah.
So that's, I started that about a year ago, but I worked for about 4 years previous as a limited license clinician under a supervisor for Waves of Change.
What is that, if you don't mind my asking? A limited,
Yep. So when you graduate with your MSW, you get a license, a limited license, which means you have to take your exam still, which that was for me. They changed it now. You can't take your exam until your supervision is over. I did it backwards. I took my exam early, which I failed the first one.
okay.
And I took it again, kind of in the middle of my supervision.
Okay.
And so for that limited license, I guess life, it's like 3 years, I think. Don't quote me on that. But you can practice, but you have to be under, like someone's reading your notes, someone's looking at all your files, making sure you're doing everything right. And then once you get about 4,000 hours in, and you pass your exam, then you can be on your own. So now I'm a fully licensed. I don't have to have anybody supervise.
4,000 hours. How many years is that?
It took a little over 2.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
a little over 2.
damn time,
It's a lot of time.
I think cosmetology is like 7.
Something like that. It's
It's
crazy.
ridiculous. It seems like that'd be less.
You're putting chemicals on people's
Okay.
heads.
Yeah, this is important. You can't take that back.
Yeah. Clearly, you never asked it to a woman, but I'm going to.
Sure.
How old are you?
I'm 35.
Okay. Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
35.
Right.
I started, I had a baby really young, so I had to pause with school for a while. And then after I got married and settled down and do a part-time job, I went back to school. And I was in school for about 5.5 years, doing internships right alongside schoolwork. So I was busy. I did a lot of work for free.
Well, rewinding because I always tend to do this.
You're fine. Yeah.
Where would you say? Well, no, I'm not even going to word it like that.
Okay.
Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Napoleon.
Okay.
Actually, I live in the home now that I grew up in. My parents built it when I was 3. I was born in Jackson. We lived out here for a little bit, and then my parents built a house out. It's actually it's Norval technically,
Gotcha.
but Napoleon is where I've always been. And then I moved to Brooklyn for a couple of years by myself with my husband and my daughter, and then opportunity came to buy that house for my mom. So we did. And we've been there for almost 10 years now.
Did you go to school in Napoleon your whole life?
I did.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Preschool all the way through.
Was Mr. Ashton teacher there?
Oh, he was my principal.
He was the principal for that long.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm like, he was my principal.
Dude, I'm 30.
Well, okay, I guess you're right. That's only 7 years. Okay, you're right. Okay, well, when I think of Mr. Ash, I don't know.
I had Mrs. Nugent,
Okay.
and Mr. Ash. All
He is-
4 years of high school. I
He's
had
just
both of them.
ancient to me. I know that. Well, I know he looked the same as long as I've known
I was
him.
gonna say, I don't think he's aged a bit.
No,
I think he's the exact same.
he ages pretty gracefully.
He does. He does.
Well, no, I keep dropping his name because maybe one day he'll come on. Like I've been bugging him too. But,
Oh, that would be awesome.
yeah.
We have a lot of good things to talk about.
Man, what was your favorite subject in school?
I liked English.
Okay.
Any kind of English, creative writing, lit. I just
Okay.
did better
Mhm.
with words
Gotcha.
and all of that. Math was a struggle. Science was a struggle. Anything with numbers. It was like, ugh, my brain like kind of shuts down, like short circuits.
Do you have a favorite format for writing papers?
Well, at this point, I am so APA'd out that that's all I really know.
Gotcha.
So like when I'm helping my daughter do her papers in high school and she has to do MLA, I sit there and I'm just like, ugh. You know, but I understand different degrees, there's different formats and how you write things
I
and
also
whatnot.
grew up on MLA, and
Okay.
then I had to switch to APA when I switched schools, and I was like,
Okay.
but
So,
I do APA as soon as I got, I did my bachelor's with social work. So everything in social work is APA. So it kind of has, like, I could probably format you an APA paper right now. Like, it's kind of like one of those things.
ingrained in your brain.
Yes.
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 So to our Facebook guests, if you want to watch the full episode, you only miss 2 minutes. Go to our YouTube or check out the Prisoner to Painter page. We are just speaking with Kait.
Panak.
Panak. I want to make sure I sound.
No,
right.
you're right.
Okay.
No problem.
Just for our Facebook audience, just 2 minutes. So if you want to go back and watch it, probably look at the YouTube. We're just 2 minutes short.
Okay.
Or the actual Prisoner to Painter
Yep.
page, we live stream to that, so we like double Facebook stream.
That's nice.
So one of
There
my
you go.
favorite questions of every guest: what was your favorite cereal growing up?
Corn pops.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Interesting.
I like those. I don't know why. I think I still do.
Okay.
Like that's totally like that's like a dessert now. You know, like when I'm older. Like so I'm just like when I was a kid, I ate that for breakfast. I wouldn't eat that for breakfast now.
Yeah. Sure.
Right now,
Yeah,
I would. Now that's like a late night,
Oh yeah.
like bowl of ice cream, but like a
Yeah.
bowl of like even any kind of sweet cereal. You know, corn pops,
I'm
frosted
telling
flakes.
you, cereal instead of granola on yogurt, game changer.
Mm.
Absolute game changer.
Why have I never thought to do that? That's a great idea.
It's fantastic. I particularly enjoy Cookie Crisps and Fruity Pebbles.
See, look, a Cookie Crisp. That's another
That
good
is a good
one
one.
too. Yeah, I do. I love those.
What was your family dynamic growing up? Like brothers, sisters,
Yeah.
etc.?
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm the oldest.
Okay.
There's myself and my brother Austin is 4 years younger than me. My sister Callie is 9 years younger than me.
Okay.
You know, my mom and dad built us a house, and we lived just a quarter mile down the road from my grandparents, and so I still do. I still have both of them. So I see them all the time now, but they were always right around the corner. You know, we did a lot of camping growing up, a lot of being outside. You know, my dad wanted to make baseball, softball players out of all of us.
Gotcha.
He only got Austin and Callie. I never went there. I tried to follow my mom's path of track, but I wasn't super great at that either, but that's great. So we were outside just playing catch, throwing balls. We had a golf cart growing up, and we would just do hot laps around the yard all the time. I mean, we get into anything outside.
Awesome.
I feel like that's what we did a lot of. You know, we didn't do big vacations
Mhm.
everywhere until I got a little bit older. My dad took us to Florida a lot, but you know, we spent a lot of weekends doing things, going to like Cedar Point or gosh, what was it called? Kings Island.
Okay.
I feel like I remember doing that quite a few
Yeah.
times. Yeah, like that kind of stuff. Just
Awesome.
here and there, all over the place. My parents worked, you know, Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
You know, my dad is a police officer, and then my mom worked for UPS, so she worked. She just actually retired last weekend. So
Yeah, and I didn't want to flood too many questions in there because it's your story, not
Yeah.
his. But
No,
I did want
that's
to
okay.
ask at least one question. How was it like growing up with a father in law enforcement?
you know, I'm glad you asked that because that was when I was thinking about, you know, like what do you talk about? Where am I gonna go from? I kind of was thinking a little bit about that experience and really reflecting on it, right? It's not as great as everybody
Yeah.
thinks it is. Like everybody, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but like, oh, you get off, you know, you never get a ticket. Like,
Yeah.
no, I've had a couple tickets,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And it's almost worse. In a lot of situations, I would have rather gotten a ticket than a ticket and them calling my dad or
Mhm.
them just calling my dad. you know, he was always really fair growing up about those kind of things. But we were, I think he mentioned this when he was talking, that he grew up guilty till proven innocent.
Yep.
Same thing for us,
Yeah,
right?
Yep.
And so it was harder because there was a lot of pressure. I mean, and there's this like, I don't know, thing you have to sort of live up to that is, it just doesn't really seem fair sometimes. But I feel like it didn't inhibit me in any way. But, you know, there was a lot of expectation growing up. But as far, now that I'm older and looking back on that, I can see very much so how him being my dad and doing what he did and the way that he raised us, it very much so set the tone for, you know, service and taking care of people and being with people in times of crisis or vulnerability. Like, I noticed that I had something there for that. So I really think kind of having that emphasis growing up really helped me to figure out, you know, kind of what I wanted to do growing up.
So 2 things I don't want to touch on. My dad, I can relate to growing up that way. My dad was not law enforcement, but I think I told your dad this. So my dad would take me to practice, soccer practice. We would be late. My dad was the coach.
Oh,
I would have to run laps because I was late. So it's like,
even though he was,
so I'm like, that's the standard. It's like
right.
The coach or the son of the coach.
You're almost
I was held to a higher standard. So I was late because of him. I still had to run laps because I was late.
Right.
But that's what it boils down to.
Well, and I know my dad likes to tell this story. I'm surprised he didn't tell it here, but like, I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that, like, he held trial, like, in our living room with us, right? Like, I mean, if one of us, like, I'm in the box, like, he's the judge, Callie and Austin are the jury, like, this whole thing, and it's like, do you think that she should, you know, be ungrounded 3 days early because she wants to go to this event or what? And I'm like 14, 15, 16, and I was a pistol growing up, right? Like, I was not an easy kid to reckon with. I was busy. I wanted to do things, and I didn't want anybody to tell me I couldn't. My brother and sister were younger; they were annoying, and you know, my parents divorced when I was a freshman, right? Which is just kind of a tender age to really shift. And to them, it's like, really, you're gonna, you know, but like just spending 3 nights at mom's, then having to pack a bag and go to my dad's. Like, I didn't want to have to make those kind of decisions for the next 3 days of what I'm going to wear to school, or, you know, leaving my volleyball shoes at my mom's and at my dad's. Now I got to, you know, like those inconveniences were big inconveniences to me as a kid. Right. But my parents were dealing with so much more that seemed like that's what you're going to complain about. Like, get over it. Right. But when you're a kid, your world's not that big. Right. So it matters. So that, you know, that was a rougher part of growing up, and maybe had a little to do with why I was kind of a spitfire as a kid. Right. But, you know, now that I've reflected on a lot of that, I can understand where a lot of that was coming from. I can place it. I understand what it means, you know, and just kind of moving up from that.
Well, also being a teenage girl is just a terrible experience.
It really is.
I mean,
you know,
it's so many feelings.
It's just hard. It really is. And then you got to go to your dad's, and, you know, your dad doesn't understand, and your mom, and then I love to play them against each other when I was a kid. You know, but my parents, they did a really good job with us, you know, even despite them, you know, getting divorced and not really liking each other that much for a while. I've really changed the game on that. I make them purposely uncomfortable. Like, I have their wedding picture in my house.
Awesome.
I invite them to everything together. You know, like, we're going to figure this out. And it has worked. They respect each other. And they get along pretty well now.
Was dating as a teenager hard with your dad being a cop?
You know, it wasn't. It wasn't. You know, he was not that guy that was like, oh, I'm gonna sit there and polish my gun. Have my dog.
Bullet moves quick after 10.
Right. No, and he was not. He was always so decent and respectful, and I kind of have embodied that same attitude. And I don't know if this is what he meant, but my thought, because I have a daughter, she's almost 16, right? And my thought is, I don't need to be that. Like, I've raised her to handle herself, right? Like, I trust that she can make good choices and know what she needs. And if she needs something, she'll let me know. But I'm not going to sit there and be a threat.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Was it ever the other way, where like you'd be interested in dating somebody and they were like, I don't know, your dad's a cop?
You know, I don't think so. It didn't seem to. I don't think I ran into that too much. You know, and I didn't date too many people. I dated quite a few with the same, like, for a while, right? But I don't really think there was a huge intimidation factor. Not to mention, like, I spent a lot of time at my mom's, and I would go spend time at my dad's and come back and forth. So, I mean, I don't think I was hanging out with anybody anybody at my dad's house. And then, you know, I just probably wasn't, you know what I mean? So that might have helped too. We were at my mom's most of the time. And so they weren't having to see him every time he opened the door. But no, my dad's always been great. He's not, you mean, you know, he's a teddy bear. He's not big, scary, you know, and he treats everybody with respect and kindness until you know, give him a reason to have something to say. So yeah, it's cool.
Who was the most influential person in your life growing up?
Interesting. That's a doozy. Influential person. You know, I would say at the time, probably a combination of my mom and dad. I don't know if that's a fair answer, but like,
it's good enough.
I mean, very much like, because my mom and dad are both, they have such strengths. And I see big strengths in myself as long as, you know, or as challenges as well, right? Yeah. But, and I know that, oh, that's my mom. Oh, that's my dad, right? Like I can really identify that. And so it kind of helps me put it where it needs to go, if that makes sense, right? Like, oh, this is a part of my past. This is why this means so much to me. This is, you know, like, and I can kind of follow that rather than just like, oh, this is how I am because that's how my dad was, right? Like that just doesn't feel acceptable. But like, I mean, they went through a lot as a married couple and they still did everything they could for us kids. I mean, we felt, you know, I mean, divorces happen and people, no matter how well you know, protect your kids and whatnot, there is an effect, right? Like there just is. But I think that they really handled it with care. They never let us, if we did try, I did try to play them against each other a lot, but they would always check me on it and they would always come together on that, you know? So I just think, and especially now looking back, like with my own daughter's dad, who's not my husband, I had her at 19. You know, I learned how to navigate that relationship from, you know, some of the things they did and some of the things they shouldn't have done. You know what I mean? Like I very much so feel like that has made a huge difference. And because that happened at 15 and then I had my daughter at 19. So that's just 4 years. I mean, so it was all pretty raw.
So this is kind of on track in the age range. Did you do anything special for your 16th birthday?
What did I do for my 16th birthday? You know what? We were in Florida. My birthday always falls over spring break.
Perfect.
So when we were in high school, my dad took me and my best friend to Florida a couple of times to hang out with my Uncle Kurt and all of them. And I was sick. I was down there. So I don't remember exactly what we did. I'm you know, probably just what we did every day. Go to
You're Taurus.
I'm actually a Aries.
Okay.
So March 30th, May.
Okay.
March 31st.
So a cusper.
What does that mean?
You're on the cusp.
I am. Yes.
March 31st. That's my dad's birthday.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it always felt, you know, if I never really had because everybody would be gone or we would be gone, right? So we always did everything on that vacation or I was just down, right? So it was fun.
So not to fast forward too far because we do try to go in chronological order.
No, that's all right.
But when I think of something, I don't want to forget.
I
So
get it.
for your dad being in law enforcement and you taking the mental health field, how do I word it? I believe that police could learn more about mental health. Is that some of the reason why you went into the mental health field, or does that have no correlation?
I would say that there's some correlation. It's not so much the motivation that I could do it better, right? I would say that some of those things that I learned from him and his influence. I mean, he was an officer before I was born. I mean, I'll have to try to find it, but I have this picture of him holding me as a newborn baby, and he has long curly hair.
Oh, I can see that.
He has a trucker hat. He has these dirty shoes. Like he literally came from Ann Arbor to meet my mom at the hospital. And that's where he was doing all of his lawness. So I mean, he was in rough shape, right? So and then it's actually signed by everybody that was on his in his crew. So they're and I don't know who any of them are because they're all code names, right? I know there's one that says Popcorn, so that's somebody. Right? Like, you know, and so I have, anyway, but so yes, his influence and kind of how he would share his stories and how things went at work and how he would handle stuff. And that transpired sort of into the way he parented us too. And not in a like punitive way, but in a like, all right, I'll hear what you have to say kind of a thing. Right. And then we're going to be fair. We're going to talk about this. but I always loved and respected that.
Mhm.
I wanted to sort of take it in a way, and I think me having my daughter really young kind of also came into play there to shape the whole story. But really, I wanted to take it to more of a relational level, right? The police are kind of a stopgap, right? Like they're there when something's wrong, they do what they need to do, they send you off, and then they move on to the next thing, right? And I just knew, inside that what I could do best was kind of meet people on a more intimate, personal level, over time, right? Rather than just right then and there. So I just went that direction, I suppose.
Well, and sorry if I ever.
Oh, no.
No, sometimes I talk before I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. You're fine.
So Katie always, so Katie said something about maybe that police need a mental health week.
Oh, yes.
So,
yes. Do I think that would be beneficial? 100%.
So,
yeah.
So,
yeah.
All day. Like a separate entity that's like maybe even like a trained case manager that would know like who's trained in crisis.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
Never comparing, always relating. And I never have anything bad to say about the department your father's from, but
for sure.
Blackman Township, and I will say this: I got pulled over. I should have went to prison. It was my 4th DUI, but I was on mushrooms and acid, and I was not in my right mind. They beat the shit out of me, and I mean, and that's
I picked him up from the hospital, and
they
he had
beat the shit out of me.
blueprint.
And I just feel like if there was a mental health liaison, like
Sure,
I wasn't
Someone
in my right
didn't
mind.
abuse
I wasn't
a
in my right. Like mushrooms is you could put that close to a brain
It's
whatever.
psychosis.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I just felt like that there is some. I guess what I was asking is if you think that is.
I 100% yes, and that's also like a piece that I would take with me, because in the social work there's a lot of social justice, right? So there is a lot of people that are like, the cops, we shouldn't even need them, this and that, right? Like you're getting opinions and things from all over the place, and all of it has its place, right? Like, and everybody has their opinion based on their experience, right? And I hold space and respect that all day, and I know without a doubt that it can't be either or; it needs to be both, right? Like there 100% needs to.
You have to have a manager for every moving part, and manager is just like the word that I'm gonna
But that
use.
feels good,
Right. So like there has to be something to help with this part and this part and this part.
Right. It's like a kind of like a care team. You have like, your psychiatrist, a social worker, a doctor, a surgeon, right? All these different, like you kind of need a team, right? And I get that not every call, obviously, I don't know how they would do that, but like for the crisis calls, for domestics, for a suicidal subject, or even a wellness check, those things would be important.
They have codes, and dispatch usually says the code for what the call is, which is that it would denote, hey, we need backup on this one with a person who knows more about.
Yeah, I think there is a huge need for that, and I also think there's a lot of people who would fill that need, right? There's a lot of people who want to be sort of like boots on the ground out there doing the crisis intervention type things, right? And I think there's 100% of people for that. There should be.
I call it God's work.
Yeah.
I call it God's work. So getting back to your story, I apologize getting sidetracked. So 15,
No.
we'll kind of say mom and dad got divorced around that time.
Yeah.
19, you have a child. When did you graduate?
2008.
2008. Oh, were you 18 or did you graduate early?
I graduated. I was 18.
Okay. Awesome.
Yep.
And then right to college?
Yep. I immediately went into JC. I thought I wanted to be a nurse.
Okay.
Which I sometimes wish maybe I would have had a little experience in that, and then maybe come around to social work at some point. But and then I had her, and she was actually born 2 months early.
Okay.
So I just, everything kind of had to stop with school. I just couldn't do it all. Right. So I just sort of said, all right, I need to work. I need to make money. We need to get us through these next couple of years, figure out where we're going, what we're doing. And then, that'll be a dream for another day.
So I'm glad you got back to it.
I am too.
So she was a preemie.
She was.
Was there any did they figure out why? Did she just come early?
So they don't exactly know what caused it. But I had what's called a placental abruption.
Oh, no.
So the placenta just sort of tore away.
Yeah.
And so but my body did exactly what it was supposed to do, put me right into labor. And I was actually, so her birthday's November 17th. So this was November 16th that night. I was staying up until midnight trying to register for my next set of classes.
Okay.
And I didn't, because I didn't make it to midnight on my computer. We were already headed to the hospital, right?
Wow.
So yeah, that was a crazy experience. And so I was 31 weeks and 4 days. So I had her. And then she went straight to St. Joe's and she was there for 19 days. So yeah.
How was being a teen mom and experiencing that and then having to be away from your newborn for that amount of time?
You know, that's hard. That was hard. And so we talked about a little bit about EMDR earlier, like when I had to go be trained for that in my mind, they're like, what kind of trauma have you experienced? I'm like, well, that feels pretty much like the closest thing I have to it. You know what I mean? And so I did some EMDR around that and it was really good. So now when I think back on it, I just have such a lighter, like, I don't mean to make it seem like it wasn't serious.
Did you get body sensations?
Oh yeah.
Like surrounding like the labor and the pain?
I had the shakes. So, like when you have adrenaline.
Yeah.
Sienna was very small. She was 4 pounds. So I had all this adrenaline to push and then it was boom, she's here. And so I had a lot of leftover adrenaline. And that's the thing I remember the most is my teeth chattering, my hands chattering. So when I did my training, and I'm sorry, I'm bouncing around a little bit, but when I did my training in Sedona and had to go through EMDR myself, I distinctly remember standing out there afterwards like this. And I was like, you guys, this is crazy. Like, this is happening. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was a total visceral reaction.
I totally know what you mean. The first time I had it done, I had an acid flashback.
Oh wow!
And the entire parking lot was an ocean because like everything was like whoosh, whoosh. I had to call him. I'm like, you need to come
the
get
brain just?
I was like, I don't know what she did to me,
It's
but
mesmerizing.
you need to come get me.
I'm glad you did that though. That was a good choice for sure. Wow, what an experience!
Oh yeah. So I totally get it. I was just curious because it's different for everybody.
It is,
especially like where you hold your trauma. So
yeah, that was all. And for whatever, and I don't necessarily remember feeling because it ended up not really being all about that. Like, and I'm sure you know what I mean. Like you start there with that memory and you spend 15 seconds in it and now she's 5, 6, 7, and everything that's attached to that core memory, right? And you start spending a lot of time in that because really that's just a blink in time compared to the, she was 14 at the time. So, it was a really cool experience. It was awesome. So
what's the best piece of advice you've ever received? To make mistakes in favor of your kids.
That is fantastic advice.
Yep. So he has shared that for years and in a lot of different ways, and it's meant something different almost every time when he shares it, right? A lot of times it was kind of talking to me and processing and defending, so to speak, how he and my mom handled their divorce. And he would always say like, we tried to make mistakes in favor of you guys. And what that looks like is maybe my mom and dad weren't getting along. Maybe my dad was being a jerk to my mom and mom was being a jerk to my dad. But hey, they had tickets to a Red Wings game and mom really wanted to take us, but it's dad's time. That might not be great to give her that favor because she might not have deserved it. Maybe she was being nasty or didn't give him time or something, but to not let us would be to rob us of that experience. Right. And so always trying to fall into that. Right. And so I just remember hearing that. And you can imagine it, 13, 14, 15, whatever. Okay. And then as I've gotten older, I had my own child, and dealing with co-parenting with her dad, that took quite a few years of healing. And then I heard that same thing, you got to make mistakes in favor of Sienna. And then it became, I have Nolan and Oliver. So making mistakes in favor of your kids. And now that kind of looks like, no matter what I'm doing, even if it's a mess up or even if I'm having to make a choice that feels right, like might be a mistake to go that way, but at least it's going to benefit them in some way, shape, or form. Right. So I would say I come back to that a lot. I share that in therapy as a therapist with a lot of clients that are dealing with co-parenting and parenting issues in general is always that, just make mistakes in favor, because obviously in some situations that might not work for somebody who doesn't have children. But for me and my experience and my story, I would say that is probably the one that sticks out the most. And don't cut your nose off and spite your face.
Yes.
I get that one. The both of those I would say are probably the ones that hang around most of the time.
Well, it wouldn't be the Prisoner of Pain podcast if we didn't ask the opposite. What is the worst piece of advice you've ever received?
Just wing it.
Fair enough.
Just
Yeah,
wing
but
it.
it works for some people.
It does.
I mean,
It does. It does. But I have done that, right? And I usually, for me, I can't just wing it. You know what I mean? And in some situations, like something like this, I didn't have a study guide or anything like that. I got a little more confident in some of my areas of life, like talking to people across the room. I feel like I've gotten pretty good at that. So I'm not worried about those kinds of things. But in general, I gotta prepare. I gotta prep. I gotta plan. Otherwise, something goes awry. So let's say, the just wing it thing, that's not gonna work for me. So
How was college? You said that you were registering for classes when you went into labor.
Yeah.
So what was the process of continuing to go to school when you just become a parent?
Right. So I had, and having my daughter young was a challenge. Like it was not easy. I was too young, right? I had kind of a tumultuous relationship at the time, which we get along like buddies these days. I love him and his family. But it was very much so, I had a lot of support, from my mom and my dad. So it wasn't a tragedy, right? It wasn't this devastating, my life is completely gone off the rails, right? No, like I had such phenomenal love and support around me. I really think without that, it might have been a different story, right? But so I was able to continue to go to school. I mean, I remember, I went and took a chem exam like 3 days after I had her. You know what I mean? And so I did the best I could. And then I slowed down that next semester. I only took 1 or 2 and worked. And then I just I wasn't doing very good with the class. I just couldn't keep up on it. So I said, all right, I got to pause. And then after I married my husband and was able to kind of transition to a part-time job, I said, all right, I'm going back to school.
Heck yeah.
And I went full force. I did a couple of classes at a time at JC to get some prereqs I needed to finish. And then I started my bachelor's program at Spring Arbor in 2016. So
if you don't mind us being nosy,
no.
What were the part-time jobs?
So I actually,
jobs.
yeah, I didn't have that many jobs. Everywhere I worked for a while. So my first job, well, not my first job, but the job that matters was at the Crazy Cowboy. I worked for Kim Gomez.
That's probably why, because you look familiar.
Yeah.
That's probably what it is.
Yeah, I worked there for, I think, about 2 years. And so they were gracious to me, too, because I obviously wasn't planning to have my child at 31 weeks. So I literally called into work the next time, like, I'm not coming. I just had my baby. And they're like, what? So then I obviously take a little bit of extra time off because she was in the hospital and then bringing her home and all that. And so I went back to work for them in February and kind of wanted to make a little bit more money. Yeah. And then I got a job at, it was CP, Federal Credit Union. Now it's True. Yeah. So I started there as a teller, and then I moved up to like a teller supervisor, I think. And then I actually, which this experience probably really shaped my life in a lot of ways too, was moving to the risk management department. So then I'm off the teller line and I'm doing a little more specialty investigative type things. And I was actually able to work alongside a guy that my dad worked with in LawNet.
Awesome.
So he had retired from the city and took this risk job, which is like fraud and whatnot at the credit union. So he kind of took me under his wing for a couple of years. And then I made some lifelong friends of the other people in my department and my boss, that's now the CEO. And I mean, I still talk to them. We have a group chat and we're still going back and forth all the time. Without them in those very formative, like my daughter's 1, I'm going back and forth with their dad, kind of trying, I'm turning 21, right? Like in those years, right? Without them sort of being like a support in a lot of ways, like, and they weren't like, squeezing it up, but they're there and are you sure? Does that make sense? I don't know. Right. And they're a little bit older than me. They had some experience. They were married. They had kids. So they really helped to keep me with like, eyes on the prize and whatnot. So that was super, super beneficial. Though, I mean, those friendships are lifelong and I wouldn't be who I am today without them.
That seems like a pretty good gig. So the reason that we always say we relate, not compare, and stuff like this. So, I recently lost my really good job, and I bring that up because if I didn't lose it, I would have never went anywhere else.
Right.
Like simple, I wouldn't have. So you landed. It sounds like a really good job at True. Was it hard to leave there because you had it good?
Yeah, it was. And especially because, so then I was able to drop down to part-time, and they did that for me. They actually created that for me. It was incredible, right? And then I actually had an opportunity kind of like dropped in my lap to make more money, more flexible hours, still part-time, and I was able to work as an investigator for the prosecutor's office.
Cool.
So I actually did that while I was in school.
Okay.
And so it was right after I got married. I think they presented that to me like a week before my wedding, and I was like, I can't make that decision right now. I gotta get through this wedding and honeymoon and all that. But yeah, and it was hard to leave them because that was a really good family. You know, but we've all stayed in touch. I mean, that was 12 years ago that I left there, right? And we're still in really good, close connection. So,
did you work for Jared Jarzinka?
yes.
So he was the prosecutor at that time.
Yep, he was the prosecutor, but my direct, but I was in the family law division, so I wasn't downtown. I was actually at the front of the court building.
Oh, right on.
And so I worked for Kim Graham at the time, and it was awesome. I mean, I really did sort of make my own schedule, and that really helped me be able to fit in internship hours. So with your bachelor's, you have to have a 500-hour internship, and for your master's, you have to have a 400, or I might have that backwards, 400, 500. And so I was able to really work around all of that. Whereas with the credit union, they're a credit union, they have business hours, right? So it's like I was able to kind of curtail a little bit of that, have a little more freedom at the prosecutor's office. So that was a huge blessing. It was hard to leave them too.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
How long did it take you from prereqs to getting fully licensed?
So I started taking classes right around after my son Nolan was born in 2015. So I probably started some prereqs then, maybe 3 to 4 classes at a time. So that would have been 2015. And then I graduated in 2020.
Okay, so that's not bad.
So before she gets into it, because she's going to be the one that does all the counseling, because she's very educated in that.
Sure, yeah.
When did you get married?
2014.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it was actually, that was cool because I ended up, that was a big turning point, not obviously getting married, but when I worked for the credit union and kind of started coming up with these ideas about like, buy a house. You know, like I don't want to live in my mom's basement anymore. And I'll tell you, that was I tell anybody that asks, that was a huge changing moment for me. And it was nothing big. I just remember waking up at my mom's house, which is now my house, right? Talk about surreal full circle. But I had a house in the a room in the basement, and my daughter's crib was down there. And I woke up early one morning and I just thought, I gotta get out of here. And the driving force was not that I was unhappy or that they were kicking me out or that it wasn't great. I wanted her to have her own bedroom. She was going to be like 2-3 years old. And I was like,
beautiful.
Dude, you're in a crib. Like what? This is the room I had in high school. Like we can't do this. So I started looking, and then I ended up living, I bought a house right next door. There was a house between us to my best friend.
Awesome.
So then we spent the next 3, 4, 5 years of our lives having our kids, and we got married a month apart. We actually we both had our second children. She had Hayden, I had Nolan. They were due a day apart. We had them a week apart. So that was really cool.
She had Hayden.
Yep, she had a little girl named Hayden.
Never mind. I know a guy named Hayden.
Oh, okay.
What would be the damn?
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. She had her daughter Hayden, and I had my son Nolan.
Okay.
We had them in 2015.
Cool.
And so we got married, both of us, May 2014, June 2014, and then had our children a week apart.
Awesome.
So that was cool. Living, we call it the King Street days, right? Like we just kind of did those really hard years of our lives of, just marriage, first mortgage, working, doing all the things, raising babies. And we did that really close to each other. So that was incredible. That I would live that all over again. For sure. But yeah, so it took quite a few years. But so at Spring Arbor, I was in the like adult co-op type program. So I went to school for 4 hours one night a week.
Okay.
And then I did, my homework at home. But I only had to go for 4 hours, which now they don't even have classes in person anymore. They're all online.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
COVID did that.
God, I never learned that way ever.
Yeah,
Doing
it was
online
hard.
classes was very difficult for
See,
me.
and that I thrive self-paced.
See, and that I like, so I teach at Spring Arbor too. And so I like doing the self-paced class, the asynchronous, they call it,
I was
right?
the first class who had E2020.
Okay.
And I finished 2 semesters worth of stuff in like 3 weeks. Because
That's
when they
amazing.
first modeled it, if you knew the information, you could
Yeah.
you'd be like, oh, I'm gonna take the pretest, and it's like, oh, you don't need to take this, you know this.
Right.
So I
Right.
just blazed right
You just
through it.
flew through
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I was all in person up until COVID hit in March of 2020, and then they sent us all home, and we did the rest of our degree. Like we finished our program online, where we were having to just kind of wing it, right?
Yeah.
Well, like they were literally like, "Hey, we have to meet and on Zoom or whatever because we can't meet face to face." But there wasn't like an online platform attached to it, so it was very strange.
How was graduation then?
So I actually didn't get to graduate. Well, I got to graduate, but I didn't get to walk in
That's
2020. Yeah, so we did
That's
not get
tough.
to walk. It was a bummer. But I did walk in 2021.
Okay.
So that was cool.
They did like a
They did something, later
Different.
on. And it was actually kind of nice because they separated everybody, like all the human services. So it was quick.
So it wasn't a huge.
It wasn't like you're there for
rollout.
5 hours just waiting and watching everybody, right? It was more of it, and it was outdoors. It was a beautiful day. It was fun. I could only bring a couple people, right? But yeah, that did suck. I brought my mom and my dad and my husband and my best friend.
Best people you could bring.
Yeah.
What was your favorite class that you took just because you needed credit?
A yoga class.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, loved it. Actually, it's a tight tie between a yoga class and I took like a physical conditioning.
Oh.
And where I literally went to the gym at JC, and that was my class, was to work out. I was like, that's perfect. I'll do that 2 days a week and I'll cross, 2 birds, 1 stone. I'll work out and get my class done.
I was just gonna ask how you did that online, but you did it. You did it
Yeah.
before online. Okay.
Yeah. So some of the, you had to go, but then any work you had to do was through an online platform.
Gotcha.
So that was fun. I liked that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was internship?
So my first internship, my bachelor's degree, I was at Family Services and Children's Aid. Actually, I don't know if you remember, they had a Born Free program. There was a house over there at, what is it, Louis Glick?
Yep. They have a sign.
Yep.
Front. Yep.
Yep.
Oh,
So
okay, by the Home New Vision, right?
Yep, right over there. So that's where I initially started, and then literally a week and a half into my internship, they sold it. Sold the building and absorbed the Born Free program into the overall substance use disorder program. I might get a couple of pieces wrong, but essentially that's what happened. So it was kind of chaotic, right? But they were so good to me. I love them. I met a lot of good people that I still talk to today. But I did learn very quickly that substance use disorder, and I would not be able to do that work long term. I mean, I lost 2 people that I'd gotten close to there, client wise, in the 6 months I was there.
Lost
they died.
Understood. Okay,
Yep.
That's
So it was,
that's what I thought.
yeah. So that was, and that was I had no idea what to do with that. This is 2018, and I we're in the middle of heroin. It's crazy.
That huge epidemic. I mean,
Yep.
it's still going on.
It still is.
But it was
With the
real bad.
fentanyl and everything.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just
real
remember
bad.
it being a really hard time. And I had such a hard time when that happened. I just was like, I know that that's something that can happen. I risk that even in my own work today, but just that environment, I felt like it was almost so common that I just was like, and not that I didn't love the work and love the people, but it's I'll burn out in a year.
Mm-hmm.
I'll end up hating social work and not even I'll go do something else because I won't be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So similarly, not necessarily similarly, but I don't see kids very often. I like a high school age and older if I do. And that's not because I don't like kids. That's because I think everybody has a certain level of kid energy.
Yeah.
And right now I have 3 kids at home. So they get my kid
It's
energy.
spent there, yeah.
Right? And anything other than that would probably make me resentful to one of them, right? Whether it's the kid clients at work or the kids at home. And I'm like, I just don't have that to give. So I'm just not going to, once my kids get older and they're not so little, maybe I will have some of that again. Right. But I just kind of know, that's just a boundary. I know that about myself.
Okay.
Right.
I told him if I ever worked with kids, it would be the science side and it would be play therapy and like
Yeah, that's
like you leave them and you can like take your notes.
You gotta watch like a forensic.
And you like come and play like a little bit like with them,
Sure.
and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go over here now, and they just do their thing. Then you don't have as much energy exchange.
Right.
They're a lot. Kids are a lot. Little young kids are a lot.
Young kids, yes.
Yes.
I love my high schoolers. They have no filter.
Oh yeah.
They're some of the coolest clients I've ever had. Right. But yeah, little kids are great. I love kids. I like kids. Right. I just would at the end of the day be like palming my 6-year-old like a basketball. Like I can't. I got nothing left. Right. That's not fair. I can't do that. So
one of Katie's favorite questions that I'm a beater to: how do you manage burnout?
Oh, you butthole! I was gonna ask how you figured out your boundaries with burnout.
Sure.
Yep.
No, there you go. It's just a polished question, right? It's still good. I like that one. So yeah, it's always a work in progress. It's always something that I'm still trying to figure out what I need, what works. And I'll be honest, sometimes it is hard. It is just mind numbing. Like, I don't know what to do. A lot of imposter syndrome, right? Yeah. Like, well, who do I think I am? Right. But I think a lot of that helps with, having a good support system, having people that you can talk to that remind you of yourself and why you do what you do, and your own form of therapy in and of itself too is good. Having support at home, right? My husband's fantastic.
Awesome.
He's really good about recognizing, like, if I've had a 9-hour day, maybe nothing bad or difficult happened, but that's just a long time. It's just a long time to sit and be in intense, vulnerable conversations with people. So he's really good about recognizing that and kind of, doing this, I'll do this, you go do that, and figuring out. I love to spend time with my friends. I love to, I have the same best friend I've had since I was in high school, and a lot of the girls that I still am good friends with, I've also known since high school. So I have a really good support system. We raise chickens and goats, and I have a garden.
So jealous.
I actually owe you guys a dozen eggs. I wanted to grab some today, but we did some. My husband must have already taken them all to work, so I was like, darn it. So I'll owe them to you. I'll just drop them off one day. But yeah, so we do a lot of that. We spend a lot of time outside. I love a good documentary.
Oh yeah.
I'm not gonna act like all of my self-care is just righteous. I love a good murder documentary, or sleeping in, like, giving yourself that space. I very much so believe in washing the day off when you get home, right? You just, even if I'm not like washing my hair and doing the whole thing, just, my kids know, right? I come in the door, hello, I put my things down, I go in my room, and I, whatever that looks like, decompress. If I need 10 minutes of just quiet, great. If I need to snuggle one of the dogs, if I need to go take the goats on a walk with my husband to get outside, right?
Okay.
It's just kind of like, what's the weather? What's it look like? What are we doing? Or if I need to, get out of my work clothes, rinse off the day, kind of recenter, where am I at? What am I doing? And then you have the drive home, which I really learned how important that was to decompress from your day when it was taken away during COVID, when I was having sessions, on my computer in my bedroom, because I have to be alone and locked and all the things, sound machine, and then I'm done, and now I need to go help so-and-so with whatever assignment or manage them so my husband can take a meeting, right? So it was just a lot of like, my hat is switching with the shutting of a door, and that was kind of a whiplash, right? So I recognize, like, missing that, right, when we didn't have it, really made me value that. Like, when I'm driving home, I'm either, I really try to check in. What do I want to listen to music? Is it a Taylor Swift night? Is it a a 90s hip hop night? Like, what is it?
Always a 90s.
Yeah, right. Do I want a podcast? Right? Am I into a podcast? Am I reading a book? Do I want silence? Right. The one thing I don't want to do is talk on the phone.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Right. I'll let my husband. I'm on my way. I'll be there. Right. And sometimes it's just, what do I need? Just being comfortable with checking in with, what do you need? And then grace, man. Like, I'm not lazy because I need to come home and sit my butt down for 10 minutes. Like, or if I want to sleep in the morning, on a Saturday, like that, you're not lazy. You're taking care of yourself. You're pouring back into your energy source. And, I'm we're always busy doing something and
Yep.
being around the kids and doing what they like to do and visiting with family. And, that all just kind of fills my cup. So.
One thing I ask every law enforcement that has come on here, but
Yeah.
I think I need to ask mental health as well.
Sure.
Have you ever and I know what HIPAA, so you can't say
Can I
it.
feel it? Can I
No,
feel
have
it?
you ever met anybody that is just truly evil? Just through and through evil.
Like you see it in their eyes. You met with something like.
I don't think I have.
That's good. Well, I'm
don't
hoping
think
that
I have.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I don't
Awesome.
think I have. And,
Awesome.
I don't know if that is because of where I'm at I'm in a private practice. So people, I can't get people in like tomorrow, right? Like for crisis type situations. Usually when you're going to run into those people, you're running into them in a crisis situation, which would be more suitable at Lifeways or at the hospital or on the psychiatric ward or something along those lines. And so I haven't had experience with those things. I've seen people where I'm looking at them and I don't know if anything's going on behind them, but ultimately it was because they were on drugs or they were, they just were in some form of not their right mind, but that wasn't their overall state, like sociopath, type, no, I don't.
Being in private practice, I at least in Lifeways, I'm not going to say there's guards, but at least in Lifeways, you're surrounded by other people.
Yep.
Like, have you ever felt unsafe around the client?
I have not.
That's good.
I have not, knock on wood.
Awesome.
Right, but so when I was working under supervision, we were a team of women, right? We were in the building, and I actually spent like the first year and a half where nobody was in the building unless you went and walked them in and took them to your office and walked them out. And if there was ever a situation where there was a new client that I didn't know, or someone I might have feel a little uncomfortable with, I would only schedule them. And I don't even know that I ever had to do that, but other people, maybe they would check in with us like, hey, are you going to be here?
Gotcha.
Right. So if knowing I have other people in the building was always really helpful.
Makes you feel a little safer. For
Definitely.
Sure.
Yeah. And then we would lock the doors, and then we kind of just got into that practice. Like there's really no reason to hang out in the lobby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're just not. We're all here. Everybody's here for therapy. It's awkward to sit in the therapy room. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it kind of just worked out that way. And then I was able to take all of my clients with me. So I'm lucky to have a pretty long-standing relationship with most of my clients. So yeah, I have, thank goodness, but I haven't. They're not so much the clients, but like when I'm working late, sometimes I'll ask my last client of the night, in the winter months when it gets dark.
4 o'clock.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll just be like, hey, can we walk out together? Just let me get my stuff together and let's just go out. And I haven't ever had a scenario where I felt scared or unsafe, but some of those practices, they really kind of push on you early on just to do it, and then it becomes habit and you don't even think about it.
I heard me asking law enforcement and asking a lot of these dangerous jobs. I feel like it gets looked over. You guys gets looked over. Like there can be danger there.
Very much so. Oh, absolutely. And then then there's like a whole method to how you set up your office, right? You want to be closest to the door, so that so that if for some reason you don't want to get where they can block you in, you want to be able to get out if you need to. So my last office was not set up that way. It didn't work for the aesthetic, right? But thankfully I was in a place with a lot of people. Now where I'm at now, I'm the only clinician in the building, other than the guy I split my office with, but he's only in there 1 day a week. And there's a couple other businesses there, but they go home at 5 o'clock. Yeah. Sometimes I'm there till 7, and then that's okay. But I'm just aware, right? When I'm scheduling, who am I scheduling? When is it, and how does that relate to when I'm leaving? Is it dark? Is it, but thankfully I've been very blessed. Lots of clients that I get along with really well and that I'm not afraid of.
Katie, is there anything you wanted to ask more about the mental health side?
Kinda.
Yeah.
Do you have, besides the MDR, is there like a specific type of therapy that you enjoy? Like,
I hear you.
Like, do you specifically like working with people who went through like sexual trauma or people who have like anger issues?
Sure.
Or like, is there like a niche?
Yes. And I actually was just talking about this with someone the other day. Grief. And I'm like, it feels weird to say I like grief therapy, but I do. I mean, there is something so that is such a humbling space to hold for somebody, you know, when they're processing the loss or a tragic event. And often that's attached to some sort of trauma, right? Like it gets deeper than that. But with grief, we're not fixing anything. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't say that I'm not fixing anybody anyways, but there's not like, okay, can we change how we think about this? Like it is just a process that has to happen. Right. And to be able to sort of just hold that space for someone and let them be heard. I mean, there's nothing like it to be able to let somebody have a conversation and share all of these things that they've kept inside or, you know, that they don't want to share because people might view that a certain way. You know, there's just something so special about that. And so I really, you know, and that's another piece that I always wanted to know more of when my dad was an officer. Is like, I wanted to know why that happened and why did they, and well, what happens next, right? Like, so this really gives me an opportunity to kind of branch out off of that to really know the story more. Like I want to hear everybody's story. I want to hear about your grandfather and why he's so important to you and what you guys did together and what you miss the most, right? Like, I mean, I enjoy that in general, right? But from a therapeutic perspective, there's just something so healing about that. And it really reinforces, and something I like to say a lot is that, you know, we're a cognitively oriented society. We very much so feel like the more we know, the better we can do. And if we know it, then we'll do it and life will get better, right? And you know, neither here nor there. But I feel like in therapy, sometimes we think the best thing we're going to get out of it is the coping skills and the learning all the different things. When I think the most beneficial piece is just sort of letting yourself be cared for or heard or loved or, you know, surrounded with space. Somebody wants to hear you that's going to sit and make eye contact and ask more questions and lean into that. That I think is some of the most important work, right? All the other things are obviously very important and they all have their place. But so grief therapy really encompasses that because there's only so much you can do, but they're grieving. That's not abnormal, right? That's an emotion and it's just very heavy and it's difficult. So sometimes it's like, well, there's not something at the end of it. There's not a solution. And it's like, wow, I kind of like that. Yeah. We can kind of just go through it.
It's just saying it out loud to another person.
Oh, yeah.
Like you can say it to yourself. Like, this is how I'm feeling. But then, like, when you say it to another person, you're like, oh, I just said that out loud.
Yeah.
Like, the person heard.
You're like really saying what you mean, right? And you're like, man, if like you're saying that out loud, it's not falling on deaf ears. Somebody else is hearing it, someone else is witnessing it. And to have somebody just say, yeah, that's terrible. Like, of course you're devastated. Of course this is what this feels like. And what is that going to mean moving forward? Or why was that so important? And just really getting to know those pieces. That what's cool is being able to ask those kind of questions. Sometimes they've not even thought of those things themselves. Like, why is this so important? Why does that pull so hard at me? What am I afraid of? What does this bring up? Right? Like, they haven't even thought about some of those things. So being able to kind of pull that out, but also really enjoy the story is just it's a very unique experience. And I really enjoy it. I really do.
When we invited you on, you know, hey, blah, 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 would you like to come on our show? You said yes. Was there one thing you wanted to talk about? Is there anything you wanted to specifically say?
You know, I wanted to come on here, but understanding like the prisoner to painter thing, right? Like, I didn't want to feel like an imposter, right? Like, I don't want to come on here and be like, oh, my life was so tragic and I've risen from the ashes and it's not really rooted in trauma or hardship, even, to say the least. I grew up very well and I had a great family and I had so much fun. I made mistakes, right? And I was kind of a shithead from time to time, but you know, I reflecting on it now, and I didn't want to come in here like I didn't have substance abuse, like, thank God, right? Or sexual trauma or abuse or domestic. I didn't have any of that. And I was like, you know, do I have a place there? But I was really able to reflect. And I think what I've come up with is that it's not so much that, but it's more about just, you know, leaning into your natural gifts and making choices even when there are difficult ones to make, and just kind of staying in line with your integrity and all that. You know, I think my story is rooted in a little more of that and just lived experience, maybe not so much tragedy and drama and hardship, but like just a lived experience.
I'm really glad you said that, because the point of this is to give everybody a platform to tell their story.
For sure.
I feel like sometimes the name deters people. It does. But
there are no prerequisites except for you have a story to tell.
Yes,
that
absolutely.
is the only prerequisite.
Yeah, no, I love That's awesome.
No, and I'm really glad you said that because that really will show people in the audience like this is for anybody. My story is prisoner of pain. Her story is, whatever. It's like everybody's story is different.
Absolutely.
It's just the name just rolled.
But I love it. No,
that's really what it was.
good.
He marketed the logo when I was painting cars. That's what it started at. Then just rolled off the tongue. And here we are.
There we go. Yeah, I love that. So just kind of trying to, I don't want to pretend that was this devastating, because, having a child young, that was not easy. Right. But it was a challenge and figuring it out and kind of just really leaning into those natural gifts. I think I probably always knew deep down somewhere that I was going to be a therapist. And I knew I wanted to be a mom and I knew I wanted to help people. And just kind of trying to figure out how to perfect my craft with that. Whereas Dwayne could not sit in a room and do therapy. That would never happen. It would not work. It just would, that's not his gig, and that's okay, right? Because he's really good at what he does. And I just am thankful to be able to take what I know from that experience, also having a child young and building skills and tools and having empathy for people and what they're going through. I spent a lot of time feeling like I had something to prove, right? I didn't want to be, a teen mom that never went anywhere, did anything. And I spent a lot, and that has its own story of where's your motivation coming from, right? At the end of the day. But, for a while that was kind of the motivation, and it's just nice to kind of be on the other side of that and be like, no, this is just what I've always wanted to do. And being able to use that experience for good, as opposed to like, oh yeah, I was a teen parent, that's my identity. Like, no.
That's exactly what our premise is.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's like a tragic backstory, or that you had all these struggles, or even if you grew up great and nothing really like notable, but you're doing things now.
Sure,
like,
absolutely.
It's if there is something in your story that one person has experienced, and you can come and tell the story, and they happen to see it, and it helps them, that it's literally like we're doing our job.
Yeah, that's the service, right?
And then the other thing is I hope I did well. I wanted to make a point not to speak too much on your father.
Oh no, I appreciate that.
It's not his story, it's yours. So
right.
That being said, do you ever feel like you were in his shadow? Good. I'm good.
Yeah, no, not at all. And he wouldn't let us.
That's
not him or my mom for that matter. Right? They were all very much whatever you're gonna do, but you're gonna do it well.
Yeah.
Right? And you're gonna do it with integrity, and you're gonna there's every choice has a consequence.
Good or bad.
Good or bad. There's a natural, I like to call that a natural repercussion, right? In the world of therapy, right? There is something. It's just, are you willing to take that on? And if you are, then all right. And if you didn't think about it beforehand, now you're there. So let's get through it.
Words I've been living by. Have you watched Red One with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson? It's a Christmas.
It's a Christmas movie.
I have seen it.
Okay,
so I have seen it.
So Santa, very bad Santa in my opinion. Not a good Santa. But he said every decision matters, big or small. And I have just been holding every deciin matters, big or small.
It really does. Life is just a series of choices, and getting to a place where you can figure out, like, do I have all hands on deck, right? Like EMDR wise, like, is everybody there to help me make this informed decision? Not being impulsive, not rushing, giving yourself that grace and time to decide what the best choice is and weighing that up against your integrity. And is that the right decision for you? Great. It might not be for me or you, and that's okay, because I'm the one that has to live with it, right?
So our wrap-up questions are all the same.
Okay.
From every guest.
Every single one.
Is there any question that I didn't ask that I should have?
Anything that you didn't get to speak on that we should have touched on?
It's just the way I've worded it for everybody. So
no, that's totally fine. Yeah. I think we covered it.
Awesome.
I think we covered it.
And then to follow up with that, we did add, are you happy with how you have got to tell your story?
Oh, absolutely.
Perfect.
Absolutely. You took me through it perfectly.
Perfect.
It was great.
So my last wrap-up question before Katie's is, what is your definition of success?
What is my definition? I think if you are able to do the work to figure out, your values, which then turns into your integrity, right? This Brene Brown model. I'm sure you're like, I hear you. Yeah, right? Figuring out what your values are, owning those, that is your integrity. And then you live to protect that with boundaries, she makes generous assumptions about people. I think that is success. If you are living within your integrity, right, and you are at peace with your choices, you're not hurting anybody, you're not, and you're good with it, then I think that's success. I think a lot of people equate success to money, right, and doing all these things. And to that I say, I could make a lot of money. I could go buy a whole building, rent it out to a bunch of interns, have them make me money, right? But I don't want to do any of that because I just want to do what I like to do, and I want to be available for my family. So that might look like success to somebody, right? But that wouldn't look like success to me because that's not where my integrity lies. And that's not wrong that you like to do that or that I like to do this, but you have to do that work to figure out what it is.
You are the 71st person or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
We have interviewed millionaires. Seriously, we've interviewed a wide variety of people. Not one person has said money. Not
Really?
one single
Yeah.
person. Not
That's
one
amazing.
Person.
I love that.
It was kind of we started that because stories of success and that's weighed into whatever. And then we came up with that, I swear to God, not one person has said money. Not
Well, that makes me really happy.
it
I'm
made
glad.
me happy. Too,
Right?
so,
Yeah. So as long as you're living within your integrity and you're at peace and you feel good about where you're going and open-minded, I feel like that's success.
That's it.
And then Kate's
If older you, like you now, and
Mhm.
younger you met, would you guys get along? And vice versa, would younger you get along with you now?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure my daughter is a 15-year-old reincarnated me, so I'm kind of living that right now. And if that's the truth, then yeah, I think we get along pretty well. Because her and I get along really good, and I think we would. I think I would be able to meet her with the things that she needs or needed. The words, the validation, the space, and the hey, it's gonna be all right, right? Like I think I would be able to meet her with those things.
Would it have changed her trajectory?
No.
Okay.
No, it might have just kept some of the emotions in check,
Yeah.
right? A few less meltdowns, a few less times maybe getting grounded, right? A little more of that, don't cut your nose off to spite your face, right? Like I might have done a little better with that, but I still think, I don't regret any decision that's led me to here, right? Because it has given me so much knowledge, empathy, like I said, lived experience where you can relate to other people. Right. I strive really hard at my office to make it not feel like a therapist,
Like a clinical setting?
at all.
Yeah.
I mean, people walk in and they're like, it feels like another room of your house. I'm like, that's perfect. Because that's what I want it to feel like. I sit in a lazy boy recliner, right? Like that's
awesome.
right. Because if I'm gonna sit all day, I need to be comfortable. Right?
Yeah.
They're on a couch and we're just hanging out. There's a coffee table between us. Like we're just two people having an honest conversation. There's no hierarchy. I'm not a knower of all things. You know what I mean? So that's really important.
When I used to go to counseling, that's how I talked to them like they were the knower.
Right. No, I get it. Yeah.
Oh, great sorcerer, what is your name?
Yeah.
Tim.
Tell me the things. Tell me all the things. It's hilarious.
If you could use one word, has to be one word, has to be a real word,
Okay.
to describe your entire journey from where you started to where you are now to even where you think you will end up, what would that one word be?
Resilience. Resilience. And that's the my practice is called Roots of Resilience.
Okay.
So resilience has been a term that has come up for me time and time again, whether someone's told me that, I've read it, it was the right time to hear it, it made sense. Like that word has come up for years. And just sitting in that, making your choices and doing what you have to do to move forward with that choice. And that builds that resilience, right? Because the world's not getting any nicer.
And you don't
We
know
just get better at dealing with it, right?
You don't know that you're resilient when you're being resilient.
Right.
You don't know until after.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You got to get a little life in you to be able to reflect and go, okay, I see where that was going. Right. So resilience for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I've said that. I'm in the middle of what I prayed for.
That's right.
Like sometimes I got to remember that I'm in the
You're in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not all sunshine.
No. No, it's not. It's a lot of sacrifice. It's a lot of work.
True.
Right. But there's hope to it and you keep the goal in mind. And as long as you have that.
You know, that's what the whole basis of success. That what's your definition? Because if you can achieve your definition, you're doing just fine.
Exactly.
You're doing just fine.
100%. I love that. That's awesome.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you guys
We'll
for
cut
having
the camera.
With the gift card?
We'll do. Oh shoot! Thank you. I got that once, and we have to redo the whole.
Oh man,
I was very upset.
I bet you were.
Well, you know, it's one thing if the computer crashes. It's like,
Sure.
okay, stuff happens.
Yeah.
I could write that off, but me forgetting.
Yeah, I hear that.
I will read it if you get it.
Oh,
So our gift card is from Bob Evans. So we do
Thank you.
I kind of read their mission statement.
Yeah, please do.
So their mission statement
Thank
is to
you.
provide high quality food and heartfelt hospitality to every guest, aiming to be the preferred family restaurant in every community. They emphasize treating strangers as friends and creating a welcoming family-like environment.
So for everybody traveling, we give a gas card too. You're at least from Jackson,
Oh,
so
yeah,
we can get like a gift card from a local business. So
I
we
love
ran out of
that.
local businesses.
We
Yeah,
have.
literally hit
Oh my
every,
gosh.
yeah. So
The ones that we haven't don't offer.
yep,
Yeah,
so
no,
now we're on to corporate.
Well, that's all right. I appreciate it all the same. Thank
So
you
we'll
guys
cut the
so
camera.
much.
We sign our
I would love to.
paper.
Yeah.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Thank you.